We ready? I'd like to open the meeting of the April 10th, 2024 Planning Board. Pursuant to the open meeting bylaw, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any media. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. The city charter, section 9-18, mandates that all municipal member bodies develop and adopt rules or policy for public input, public comment. We have adopted such a policy, which in short provides for citizen input on planning board specific matters at the end of the meeting. There's a sign-up sheet that is located in the back of the room. Going to do a roll call. Gloria Pacheco.
Present.
Beth Andre.
Present.
Mario Luciola is not with us at this moment. Mike Farias.
Here.
I, John Ferrer, am here. Also with us, we have Nina Kruger, Administrative Clerk. We have Dan Aguirre, the City Planner, Engineer. Chris Perino, Assistant Planner. And from Florida TV, we have Craig Salvador. Number one, under new business, Form A, application for endorsement of plan believed not to require approval, A&R plan of land. File number 24-1573. Applicant, North Congregation of Jehovah's Witness, Fall River, Massachusetts, Inc. A, property location 100 Northeastern Avenue, Assessors Map L-9, Lot 84. Do we want to do these all together, or A, B, and C?
It's all one.
Okay.
It's all on one plan, number one, so there's just three separate owners.
Okay. Property location, 142 Northeastern Avenue, Assessors Map L13, Lot 9. Owner Roy Lorenzo and Michelle L. Costa. Property location, 141 Savoy Street, Assessors Map L-13, Lot 6. Owner John P. LaRue.
So, Mr. Chairman and board members, upon review of the plan that was submitted to us a week ago, I had spoke with the applicant's attorney and asked him to make some plan revisions so that this plan could be afforded an A&R endorsement. We received the revised plan today at 1:36, Nina, is that right?
It was around 1:30.
Okay. And then upon reviewing the plan again, still has many deficiencies. So what we're dealing with here is a private way, London Street. So it's not a city street, it's a private way where abutting landowners own to the center line of the street. Because Jehovah's Witness Church at 100 Northeastern Avenue has utilized almost this entire right-of-way for their parking lot, they had come up with a land agreement with all of the parties to resolve the land issues and ownership. So I understand what they're trying to get to, but the way that the plan was presented doesn't meet the requirements for an A&R endorsement. Specifically, they don't reference the fact that London Street is a private way. So if it's a public way, then we have nothing for them to subdivide. I agree that it is a private way, but the plan needs to show that. I had also asked him to show us what are the existing lines of ownership, then show me the parcels that are coming out of each parcel so that they can be conveyed correctly. He didn't do that either. He just showed all of the parcels that they end up with after they subdivide.
Mm-hmm.
So then the subdivision's not needed, right? That's just a no new ways line plan. So
Right.
he didn't present it in a fashion of, this is the rectangle I own, I'm cutting out this triangle. So the plan needs to show that and be very clear of how that's done. I had also asked that he add a note to the plan with regards to people's rights to the private way. We've talked about that a lot now, right? So just because you're changing the ownership of the underlying private way, that's fine. But I want to make sure that there's a note on this plan that no one's rights to the way for passing or repassing or reconstruction, whether these landowners or the others that are on this street are affected or intended to be affected. So we want to get that resolved. And then lastly, I had asked him, and this is just a blanket requirement, everyone's land affected that's being subdivided or conveyed needs to sign this application. It was only Jehovah's Witness that signed the initial application. So you can't allow someone's land to be subdivided unless they've acknowledged it and a part of the application. So I would offer that you should not endorse this plan. That then gives the opportunity for the landowner to do two things: submit a new revised plan, and we can deal with it at next month's meeting. Or he could attempt to go and get a certification from the clerk that there was no appeal, and the board decided not to endorse it.
So-
I don't think that'll be the case, because that's only gonna create title problems for him down the road. So I would offer, I would not sign it, and then we can send correspondence to him tomorrow morning explaining why that did not happen, and explain to him his two options.
So you,
I'm gonna have to weigh in on this. I did not research this, it took me a few hours to research it, but I didn't know if you had, or if their attorney had. That private way belongs to whom? Did we give notice to the original owners of that area?
And that's the question. I asked him,
I've gone to land court for one of these
I said,
issues.
you need to give us proof of who owns the fee in the way.
Have they
You
been
can't
given
just
notice?
assume
Right.
that it's the abutting landowners. There may be one landowner that owns the fee in the way that owns nothing adjacent to the way.
Well, chances are, whoever subdivided this area still,
May still have the fee, but I don't think it was a subdivision. It's a way that was laid out many, many years ago.
hence the research, and I didn't
that
do
may
it.
be the case, but that information needs to be provided.
So I'm actually gonna motion, we do not approve. That's the motion I'm gonna make, we do not approve this plan, because
Okay.
I would hate for it to lapse, and in 20 days it
Okay.
gets approved.
Yep.
Because I think there are many issues. Like I said, it could be fine, but I don't know. I don't have enough
Yep.
info to approve it, or
I
to
agree.
vote yes. A, B, the agreement between the neighbors,
Yep.
what does it say? And like you pointed out, they all need to sign the application. So as a board member, I do not agree with this, so I'm gonna make a motion, we reject this
Okay,
A&R plan.
excellent.
so we have a
If you have any
motion to,
questions.
we have a
I
mo,
second that motion, yeah, I agree
So-
wholeheartedly with what you're saying.
so I have a motion by Gloria, a second by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, nay? Nope. Okay, so that's rejected. Excuse me, number 2, Form A application for endorsement of plan believed not to require approval, and our plan of land. File number 24-1574, owner applicant Brian A. Texera, property location 327 Chicago Street, assessors map E-17, lot 9.
So, Mr. Chairman and board members, I can offer that the plan presented to you meets the requirements for endorsement of an A&R subdivision plan, meets the requirements of the Register of Deeds. This was the subject of a zoning variance that allowed the subdivision of this parcel with the setback shown on this plan. All of the dimensions, areas, and setbacks as shown on this plan do comply with what the zoning relief allowed for. Zoning relief is referenced on the plan as well, so I would recommend that endorsement be provided.
I just have a few questions, Dan.
Sure.
And I apologize, I can't read the specs, but I did read it when I reviewed it. It seems to me that the existing condition is making it into a non-conformed setback requirements. And on this plan, on the right-hand side, there's the zoning reference, and I apologize, I can't read it.
Yeah, that's
It's too
okay, so,
small.
so the zoning reference that you're looking at,
Yeah.
those are the zoning requirements for the zoning district.
Mhm.
When you look at the general notes to the top of the plan, which is even smaller on your
Yeah,
plan,
Yeah,
it references that zoning relief was granted, which basically allows them not to meet. So there's a plan requirement that you have to list the
Mhm.
applicable zoning,
yeah,
but the note references the zoning relief that was granted,
okay, and that was granted by the zoning.
the zoning board of appeals,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve
I'll motion.
the Form A? Motion by Beth, second.
Second.
Second by Gloria. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's granted. Number 3, Form A application for endorsement of plan believed not to require approval, and our plan of land. Excuse me. File number 24-1575. Owner applicant Marino Z. Benavides, property location 74-78 Pelham Street, assessors map F-22, lot 14.
So somewhat similarly to the last one, this is a piece of land that had multiple existing structures on it. Went through the zoning board of appeals process where the applicant was allowed to cut out what is shown as lot 2 on this plan, which is a completely conforming parcel to the zoning district with 75 feet of frontage and 8,000 square feet of area. They were granted zoning relief for building setback and multiple structures being on the parcel for lot number 1. Again, if we look at the right-hand side, you'll see there is a zoning reference table. That is the required zoning for the district. But then again, in the general notes, you'll see a reference to the relief that was granted in the book and page of what it's recorded in. So again, plan meets the requirements for endorsement.
Any questions?
I'm just gonna ask just a general question.
Yep.
It seems to me like we get zoning, it doesn't get approved, and then it comes to us, and because if they made some changes to it, then we bless it and it gets passed back down, and then it gets approved by zoning.
Yep.
So, I guess what's the overall goal of having these zonings in place, these setbacks and requirements, and these are minimum requirements, so I'm just trying to figure out why, and again, I'm pro good development, and if there's some minor changes here and there, but, you know, it seems like this is the constant, we get something from zoning, they make enough changes to it, so it goes back to them, and then they grant it. So they first deny it, goes to us, they go back, and then they grant it. And I know that you've asked for minimum changes to it, and again, I respect your professional judgment of, this is a minor thing here, there, or wherever, but if we constantly always are not hitting the goal of these minimum requirements for setbacks and lot coverage, and as I say, there's a plethora of issues that sets off.
Yeah, so-
I'm just wondering
Just
why.
General concept-wise, the city of Fall River is dealing with antiquated zoning bylaws that have been in existence for a long time.
Okay.
On top of that, we're dealing with many structures that were constructed prior to subdivision control law, prior to zoning.
Yeah.
So for this, for instance, these buildings were all constructed prior to subdivision control law and zoning. If everyone followed the requirements of the zoning ordinance, there'd be no zoning board of appeals, there would be no need for the request for variances, special permits, or the like. So every property owner is afforded the ability to appear before the zoning board of appeals and argue their hardship discretion. It's up for that board, not this one, to make the determination if zoning relief should be granted or not granted. That's not the role of the Fall River Planning Board. So what happened on this one, particularly the history of it, with going backwards and back and forth, the initial application to the zoning board of appeals was to cut this into 3 lots, leaving each of the existing structures, single-family homes, on a separate lot, while cutting out a non-conforming lot and building a duplex house on that.
Okay.
So they were denied that.
It was withdrawn.
Oh, they withdrew because they knew it was gonna
Yes.
get denied. So this one didn't come for a rehearing. So then, during that process, they look at it, they look at the discussion of the zoning board of appeals and what the concerns were, they reapply with something more reasonable that the board may or may not still deem to be permittable. So they went through the petition again, filed the appropriate fees, and gets heard again as a completely separate application. They're afforded that right than what was previously denied, or, sorry, withdrawn without prejudice. And that's the process by which it gets here. At this point in time, the A&R process, and I've explained this to John before, the A&R process, as long as the proposed configuration is in conformity with the granted relief, you have no authority not to endorse the plan.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen this plan before. I do see that they've made some efforts to at least abide to some of these zoning setbacks and restrictions. And again, some of them are a foot here and there, which is not a huge issue. I was just trying to come to some type of overall understanding of why do we keep on getting these after they've been rejected and then when they're changed. So again, it sounds to me that, I mean, does the city need to go by and update their zoning to
Absolutely.
this?
Well,
And
they need to update the zoning across the city. So we can do that a number of ways. We can pay a consultant a couple $100,000 to revamp zoning entirely and try to get that passed through the city council with one fell swoop. Probably not the easiest thing in the world. Or we can continue to chip away at areas of concern. And as part of the discussion I gave last night was to try to limit the amount of petitions that come before the zoning board of appeals seeking relief.
yeah,
And there have been multiple edits, additions, revisions, modifications to zoning as we've gone along, but they never address the underlying issue of having so many existing nonconformities
Mhm.
that you need to address. We don't often deal with vacant land, right, in the city of Fall River. It's usually something that's got some convoluted construction of houses, garages, multifamilies,
Mhm.
and then the law is the only thing that can be applied to trying to subdivide it. And we make sure people go through the process that they're afforded, and we make sure that they do it correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Let me
Any
just make a comment on that. Mike, I hear you, but we are dealing with the exceptions to the rule, as Dan said, and yes, oh, God, I'm sorry, I was
That's
getting wrong. But, we are dealing with the exceptions to the rules, and the zoning, I agree, the zoning, I think our zoning ordinances are not realistic for the city we have. We, like you said yesterday, we have, 3 units on a 4,000 postage stamp, and
Yeah.
that's okay. So when the person next door has a 10,000 square foot lot, and they want to put 2 single-family homes, they petition for a variance, for an exception to the rule, and they make the argument, does not derogate from the neighborhood or the feel or character of the neighborhood. If any neighbors object, I know the ZBA is always very attentive to the, neighboring input. So we are dealing with exceptions to the rule. So when we see 4 or 5 on a monthly basis, how many thousands of homes and properties do we have? They are the exceptions, and furthermore, some of the properties are grandfathered in, as, he always explains and prefaces with, by law, they were done before, the zoning bylaws went into effect. But yeah, we are dealing with the exceptions here, I think.
I think what happens too is, and it's very specific to Fall River and New Bedford, if you do a lot of work in New Bedford, you only see proposed subdivision plans that involve some form or fashion of existing structures. Like I just said, there's not a lot of vacant land.
Yeah.
When we're dealing with vacant land, very rarely does relief get granted. So we're always trying to do the best, or the zoning board does, to do the best with dealing with the situation at hand. Other municipalities that have raw land, you don't see the amount of zoning relief because there's no reason to grant it. So if you have a vacant piece of land and you just decide, okay, I want 4 lots instead of what I'm allowed by 2, those normally get denied by the zoning board of appeals, because there's no grounds for the granting of a variance unless it had to do with shape of the lot, soil conditions, topography. Is there something germane to those lots specific, even financially specific to those pieces? If there was the presence of ledge, that the cost of construction was so insurmountable for that specific piece, not the zoning district in general, then relief can sometimes be granted as well.
Yeah.
You guys just happen to always be dealing with A&R plans that have been through the variance procedure. You never get to see something clean
Right.
that has the ability to meet all the requirements.
Yeah, I think like last night's conversation that we had with the WTOD district, and what you were trying to accomplish in there, that is an updated zoning. And so that's something that's, again, projected for, again, the rarity of rural parcel of land or basically pad sites. But again, I'm just trying to get this, figured out, and what the city perhaps needs to do or needs to invest in is, at some point, again, we tackle these case by case. My only concern would be is that, maybe one gets approved and one doesn't get approved, that you had a certain standard already identified. And so, again, when we go and do these types of projects all over, we do a lot in Everett, and it's a very similar situation up there as well. There's not raw land that's available. It's subdivision of existing conditions, but they do actually put stuff in there. So I'm just trying to get it to a sense that, everybody is on a fair playing field when they come and do a subdivision. And again, I'm pro good development, and if it makes sense and there's no really adversity, especially amongst neighbors, that these things happen, then, so be it. But I think that's just not really clear, and I think that's maybe something that the city needs to invest in at some point and in the future. So.
Any other comments? Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion we approve the A&R plan as submitted since it's been granted a variance by the ZBA.
Motion by Gloria, second.
Second.
Michael will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, that one is granted. Number 4, Form A, application for endorsement of plan believed not to require approval, A&R plan of land, file number 24-1576, owner applicant, Tetra Real Estate LLC, property location 1446-1454 Pleasant Street, assessors map K-12, lots 5 and 6.
So this is actually the combining of two parcels, and the reasoning behind that was the applicant owned both parcels, grandfathered in independently. There was a building that had been demolished after it had caught fire a number of years ago. It was in the process of converting the existing multifamily building, rehabbing the entire thing, and then the adjacent parcel that's currently vacant was to be utilized for parking. So they were granted zoning relief for the amount of units to go into the building, provided the amount of parking on the adjacent piece, went through site plan review. Through site plan review, we required that they combine the two parcels of land to ensure that the parking facility intended to be conveyed with the apartment building stayed with the apartment building and wasn't to be utilized for anything else. So this is just removing the existing lot line that currently divides these two parcels of land.
Is that where the old hardware store was that caught
It
fire?
was hardware. It's right next to the, is it Netto Insurance, like over
Oh,
in that?
up a little
Is
bit.
it Netto Insurance? Downtown?
That's up a little bit, I know.
Downtown there. It's almost
Yeah.
directly across the street from the pawnbroker's place.
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
okay. Any comments on this one?
Yeah, This is a perfect example of what you would want to say.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they're basically they're changing their their lot, getting rid of, you know, a lot line and basically creating what is needed for parking and such not, so they don't have to do all these variances to it. And again, the existing conditions, they don't have the setbacks, they don't have the front, you know, the size, the front setbacks or anything of that, but this kind of, it's productive, the solution that they come up with.
Yeah,
So
we
I
don't,
give
we
them-
don't see many of these.
No, yeah, no, I know, no, I know. This-
It's usually try to cut this one up even more.
No, I know, like, that's exactly, you know, what I'm trying to make, the point is that, you know, there's all of these different impacts, you know, whether it be parking, or, you know, emergency services, or whatever it might be, or impacts to schools, whatever it is, you know, but
Yeah.
this is a good example, and this is probably, I hope this individual is raising the quality of what that product is, I mean,
Especially on a street like Pleasant Street where there is no parking.
yeah.
I mean, and that's why a lot of the buildings, I know, you know, they've got grants for the storefronts and such up in that area on Pleasant Street in the Flint. But there's just, I mean, I've looked at a few of them buildings.
Yeah.
You'd love to get into it, but it's like, where would you
Where do
even
you
park?
park? Yeah.
I mean, there's so many of them up there, you just can't do anything with it. So for this individual to open it up like that, I mean, we wish they would all, but, you know, in this day and age with the cost of, and the value of the property, everybody's trying to cut it up and get twice as much as they can if possible.
Yeah. No, I'm very cognizant,
Yeah.
you know, as I say, we do a higher end type of product, but again, maybe you're introducing that into this, so hopefully stimulating economic growth within the city, so
Any other comments?
kudos.
Do I have a motion to approve?
A motion to approve?
Motion by Michael, second.
I'll second.
Second by Mario, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That was approved. Number 5 on the agenda, Form A, application for endorsement of plan believed not to require approval, A&R plan of land, file number 24-1577. Owner applicant MD Masood Rana. Property location 159 and 165 Hunter Street. Assessors map I-07, lot 65.
So similar to what you see often before you for endorsement, this is the subdivision of a parcel of land, family dwellings constructed prior to 1954. Now, I want you to have an understanding. Zoning requirements do not apply to this parcel of land when we're dealing with existing structures. In fact, there's specific zoning ordinance specifically written into our zoning ordinance that allows for this subdivision to take place. So this isn't because people can't comply with zoning, or the lot can't be as big as what's required in the district. So this is the circumstance where we have something constructed entirely before subdivision control law and zoning. and our zoning specific, I wanna say it's 86-423B maybe, whatever section it might fall under, allows this to take place by special permit. That is it.
I know that-
We did ask for one slight revision to this plan where the surveyor had left off just the frontage dimension for the access easement that provides a wider access to both properties.
My favorite.
Yep, I know.
And
It
I-
does have 18 square feet now. It does have, they added a frontage of 18 square feet, right?
On this plan from the last one?
Did they add what you were asking
No,
to?
all I asked for was the dimension of 4 feet, 4.12 feet, which is the distance of the easement along the frontage line. Not the frontage itself, just
Okay.
the easement. And it's so that when an attorney, as you know, wants to create a legal description, and all of a sudden that dimension, so rather than referencing the plan that has no dimension, if you wanted to actually write the meets and bound description of the easement, then you would need that dimension, so we
Do you
required
think we
it.
should wait for that, or?
No, it's here.
Oh, it's here,
Yeah.
okay.
This plan came in yesterday?
No, today.
Today.
Tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah,
so it's
like
updated.
So
Thank you.
we try to review them, I mean, the deadline's only a week before the meeting. We try to get to them within a day or two and at least alert applicants to add this, add that, and hopefully they get it in before the meeting, otherwise we won't sign it.
Any other comments on this Form A? Motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve.
Motion by Gloria, by Beth. Second.
I'll second.
Second by Mario. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Form A is approved. Let's see. Number 6 on the agenda, proposed zoning map amendment ordinance. Discuss and send a report to the Fall River City Council with regards to the proposed ordinance to extend the waterfront and transit-oriented development district, WTOD, as follows. Easterly, from the easterly side of Duval Street to westerly side of North Main Street, and northerly from the north side of Walnut Street to a point approximately 640 feet north of the northerly side of Wayland Street.
So as you're all familiar with, after sitting through that evening, what you're being asked to tonight is to basically just reaffirm what we had voted months ago, and then take in the testimony that was provided last night, the presentation and parties in favor, parties against, and make a recommendation either for the city council to accept or deny the proposed map amendment. So that you're just being asked to make that one vote this evening. There is a draft letter that we had put together that we will submit to the city council tomorrow so that they can continue on with the process. There are other hurdles to pass for the zoning change to take place, but our hands will be done with it after that. It's a report, but it's really just a recommendation of what the findings are. So,
Well-
I don't know who has the draft copy, but if you wanted to read that into the record, if not, you can just make a simple vote to recommend to the city council that they adopt the proposed map amendment.
Reduction. Last one. So we can just make a motion to, without reading the entire letter, Dan, or?
That's up to you. Yeah, you can. You don't have to read the letter into the record. Normally, I wouldn't have written that until tomorrow after you made the vote, but I figured I'd have it in case somebody wanted to read it.
Well, I mean, I know we were all present at yesterday's meeting with the city council, and I personally thought it was a very productive meeting. I want to thank you, because that was very informative and detailed as to the description of what needed to be done. Had its pros and cons with a couple of comments from some individuals. Obviously, Ken Fiola was for it. I think it's a great idea to move it over. Just one man's opinion, but again, I thought everything went well. I thought it was well perceived by the city council. And again, I think that was by and large to the preparation and the detailed description that you provided them. I think that's what really sold everybody on, and it was cut and dry pretty much. I mean, it was a no-brainer for anybody with any kind of construction like Michael and stuff, knowing where boundaries are and the expansion of them to go, just go to North Main Street so we don't have that wall barrier of the tracks and such. I thought that was very good presentation. Do I have any other comments?
I just want to give you accolades as well, because, again, I've done these types of developments, and the hardest portion of that is where that line is defined, because usually it's kind of on the other side of the tracks is left abandoned, and one side is going to prosper. This actually eliminates that and brings development to the east side of the new railroad tracks up to Main Street, and then it gives you a logical landmark as the bottom of the foothills of Seven Hills on the Highlands as your barrier for development. So it made a lot of sense. It does open up a lot of opportunity, I think, economically, and hopefully we'll see the benefits that prosper throughout the city of Fall River. So nicely done.
My point for last night, I think, first of all, I did an excellent job.
Thank you.
And the explanation to, at least to me, I'm gonna speak for all of us, was the unknown and what you explained, and not try to compromise everything would fall in order, the better for the city and better for the population of the city. And credit to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, great job.
Well, before you vote, I want to acknowledge Chris's work and Nina's. Chris put together the PowerPoint, Nina helped, all the notifications and letters, and I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into something like this. And TJ Sullivan in my office for doing the map preparation. I used to tell, in past practice, I would always provide accolades to, 20 staff members that allow someone to look polished when they get before somebody. So that's the easy part, when the information's there.
Sure.
And you're just regurgitating what's been given to you to say, then you can't do it by yourself. So I appreciate everybody's efforts, for sure, and yours as well, for showing up on a night like that, and having to sit through a city council and school committee meeting, which is not necessarily so exciting.
Well, then I'm going to recant what I said, and Chris, good job,
There you
Nina,
go.
good job.
I second the motion.
I
Great
just
job,
have another
guys.
thing,
Thank you.
comment that I thought was, was brought up, and I know there's always negative entities associated with it. You always have the folks that are out there knocking down what potentially could be something prosperous for the city. I would say that, and you actually addressed it. You talked about the affordable housing component of it. This is just defining where this zone is. When the individual developer comes in and proposes what they're going to do at the end of the day, there's an entity of that. I know it's all talked about, the market rate, but again, working on a lot of these cities, that could be something that's a selling point for these developers, whether it's a 5%, 10%, whatever it is.
Yep.
And again, those are built-in equations to economic development, as you know, and could help address in that district. But again, I thought you handled that very well, and even stated that this is not the site plan approval process. It's to identify a zone, so they don't have to go through that, and that you also get the credits. Again, there are a lot of towns that I work in that are pushing against this, and even the 10% affordable housing. We're not one of those communities.
No, not at all.
So,
And I think what's in the argument, so when people approach you about creating affordable housing, we will, and now let's look at timeframes, in short order, maybe it's 10 years, it's really short, right, in the grand scheme of things.
Depends how old you are.
Listen,
Yeah.
we are going to exhaust our ability to fill market rate housing. Okay, so at some point in time, there's gonna be a tipping point. So right now, everybody's saying, oh, rents are going up, rents are going up. Rents are going up because we can't meet the demand for market rate. Once the demand is met for market rate, and there is a demand, it's only gonna be limited to so much, that will open up opportunities for rates and rents to adjust accordingly, because that's where, that there are no more people to rent market rate to. So they're going to have to do something to, different tenement units where I grew up, and those rents, right now, they can ask whatever they want, because there's no other options.
Right.
So, once we get a certain amount of housing stock in, I do think you'll see a dramatic change in the rent values on some of the other properties in the city.
Well, before we vote on it, I'm gonna read the letter from from Dan to the city council, just so we have it on record. This is dated April 11th, 2024.
It's just a draft.
This is just a draft. I should read it for the
You
record?
can read it,
Okay.
because it's your words. It's my representation to the city council of what you're saying tonight.
This report is provided to the city council in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 5, on April 9th, 2024. The planning board at a joint meeting with the city council opened a public hearing for the waterfront, proposed waterfront and transit-oriented development district map amendment. The public hearing was held at One Government Center in the city council chambers. Due notice was given in accordance with the requirements of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 5, and with the ordinance of the city of Fall River. The hearing was open on April 9th, 2024, at 7:05 PM, at which time the Director of Engineering and Planning, Dan Aguirre, delivered a comprehensive presentation detailing the proposed map amendment. Testimony was received by public, and the hearing was formally closed. Subsequently, a meeting of the planning board held on April 10th at One Government Center in the first floor hearing room. The planning board deliberated and voted to recommend the attached draft ordinance for approval to the city council. Should I read the second part? I mean, no, there's nothing there.
That's what it's-
So do we have a motion to approve this and forward this to the?
I would approve it, yeah.
Okay, so approved by Michael, a second.
Second.
Gloria, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye as well, opposed? Approved, so this proposed zoning map amendment to be sent to the city council. Number 7, receipt of correspondence, review and discussion.
You can take these all together if you want.
We're just gonna place them on file.
Yeah.
Okay, 7, 8,
So you just
9,
need a-
and 10.
You just need a motion to take them all together.
Can I have a motion to take 7, 8, and 9, 7, 8, 9, and 10 together?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mario, second. Gloria, all in favor?
I think that's
That was
Beth.
Beth.
Beth, Jesus, good Lord. Okay. Receipt of correspondence, review and discussion of the acceptance of the Bradford Durfee Textile School for National Register of Historical Places from the Massachusetts Historical Commission at 7. 8, review and discussion of the notice of application for special project designation permit extension / modification submitted by the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority for the South Coast Rail Improvement Project. 9, review and discussion of the nomination of the Home for the Aged People for the National Register of Historical Places from Massachusetts Historical Commission. 10, review and discussion of the nomination of the Wyoming Mills for the National Register of Historic Places from the Massachusetts Historical Commission. Do we have a motion to place these on file?
Motion to place on file.
We should, no discussion, correct?
No, you don't need to.
No, we're just placing these correspondence on file. So I got a motion by Beth, second,
A second.
by Gloria. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Before you go on to the next one, and I know I keep asking about this, I know these things come in without specific addresses, right? Which drives me nuts. So if we can, at least on our agenda, even though it's not in their description of the letter that they sent, if we can somehow, in parentheses or something, put an address, or at least if we can find out what the address is and put it on here as well.
I can do that.
I can't believe they don't require an address on their paperwork, but apparently they
Is
do.
that for the National Historical Places, you're
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
because they refer to them by their historical names,
Yeah,
but,
and they
yeah.
don't put an
I
address.
mean, I know where.
Google
Wyoming
Earth
is,
doesn't-
but some people don't, you know, it's.
Google Earth doesn't recognize, I looked up these, I'm like, where the hell is this? It's down the road from me, I'm like, oh, okay.
All right, number 11, approval of the minutes from the February 14th, 2024, and the March 13th, 2024 meetings.
So for February.
I was not present.
Yes, Beth was not.
Okay, so Beth was not,
So we need to do them.
so we'll take them,
as two
we'll take them out of,
different
we'll take them separately. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes of the February 14th, 2024 meeting where Beth was absent?
I make a motion to approve the February 14th meeting.
Motion by Gloria, second.
I second.
By Mario, all in favor?
No,
Aye.
that was Michael.
Oh, but what'd I say?
You said Mario.
Wow, I'm having trouble today,
He's the
boy.
good-looking one.
And listen, it better be.
Shut
Birthday's coming up.
I'm having the problems today,
Getting
boy.
younger every day.
Okay, so.
Okay, now,
So everyone in favor?
yes. Yep.
Okay.
None
And then
opposed.
make
Now we'll
that
go to the
the
March
same.
13th, 2024. Minutes of the meeting. Do I have a motion for to approve?
A motion to approve those minutes from March 13th, 2024.
Take your time, John.
By Beth. Motion by Beth. Second. Take your time, guys.
You waiting for me?
Yeah.
Anybody can second.
I'll second them.
Hurry up while I got your
With
name
the
still
smile.
fresh in my mind. Mario. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Okay. Citizens input? We got nothing, right? And number 13, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Beth, second
Second.
by Michael. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
On a side note,